Most people think working harder is the answer. They work longer hours, they push through exhaustion, they stay busy all day, but they still don't get the results they want. So they assume they need to work even harder. But what if I told you that that's complete nonsense? What if the most successful people in the world aren't actually working harder than you? What if they just know some tricks that gets them 10 times the results with way less effort? In this video, I'm about to show you exactly how they do it, and I'm gonna do this in the form of chapters. And the last one is one of the most important tricks that for some reason nobody talks about. So keep watching if you want to know what it is. Chapter 1. They know that they don't know. Smart people do not approach life with false inflated egos. They know that they don't know, and they approach life with curiosity and humility. While dumb people think, how can I protect my ego? Smart people think, how can I expand my living experience? I'm sure you heard things like, you're either born smart or you're not. You're either born talented or you're not. But that's been proven to be false. And the people who say things like that are usually victims of that mentality themselves. Because accepting the opposite would mean facing a hard truth that maybe they didn't reach their full potential not because they couldn't, but because they chose to believe that. They protect that belief and project it onto others as discouragement. Smart people do not see skills as something you have, they see them as something you build. They understand that almost anything in the world can be trained with time, knowledge, and right effort. This idea is called growth mindset, and it can change your life entirely, because here's what actually happens when you believe your abilities are fixed. You avoid challenges, you avoid failure, and you avoid anything that might expose your limits, because it sends a message to your brain that you're not good enough, and that hurts your ego. But when you believe that you can grow, you'll start doing the exact opposite. You take on challenges, you experiment, you fail, and then adjust. You're not trying to prove that you're good, you're trying to become better. And that's a completely different game, because now failure isn't personal anymore, it's just information. Every mistake tells you something. Every attempt refines you. And over time, that compounds. The person who avoids failure stays the same, while the person who learns from it evolves. So treat everything as data for improvement. And stop taking every single failure as a personal attack. Acting smart is about being flexible and pushing boundaries, not adding more limiting beliefs that sabotage your improvement. Chapter 2. They care less about their goals. And I know that sounds controversial, but hear me out. Have you ever thought of the fact that losers and winners usually have the exact same goals? I'm gonna give you a moment to think about it. Yes, everyone wants the gold medal. Everyone wants a high-paying job that they actually enjoy. Everyone wants a hot body that looks great in Instagram. So the goal isn't the variable that matters. In his book, Atomic Habits, James Clear says, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. Smart people know that having a goal is just the first step. It only puts you in a certain direction, but it absolutely doesn't move you to your destination. A lot of people spend a ridiculous amount of time thinking and talking about their goals as if having a goal is something exclusive, and they don't spend half this time doing something that'll eventually get them there. For example, two people want to get in shape. One goes all in for a week, extreme diet, intense workouts, and brags about it everywhere. The other one shows up only 2 times a week and does nothing more. A few months later, the first one will probably burn out and stop, while the second one will have the real shit, because they didn't try to reach their goals. Instead, they thought, what system can I implement daily that'll make this goal inevitable? And building a system is all about being progressive, because the mind has an allergy for changes, especially the big ones. Dumb people think of getting jacked as one skill. Smart people see it as layers of tiny skills that they need to master one at a time. So they start by building the habit of showing up to the gym. Then they learn proper form. Then they understand nutrition and protein intakes and fix their diet. And then they fix their sleep and recovery. And then they start tracking themselves and progressively overloading. And they keep doing it one at a time until getting jacked isn't a goal anymore. It's just a result of a system of skills working together. So don't focus on the outcome. Focus on the actions that repeat daily and building a system that automates naturally. Make it easy to start, make it hard to skip, reduce friction, and build an environment that pulls you in. Consistency beats intensity every single time. Chapter 3. They worship the Parkinson's Law. Parkinson's Law basically implies that work is like gas. It expands to fill whatever container you put it in. Give yourself 2 weeks to write a report and it'll take 2 weeks. Give yourself 2 hours and your brain suddenly finds a way to finish it. When you put a time constraint on a task, you force your brain to prioritize, cut the unnecessary, and focus only on what actually matters. When there is no deadline, everything feels optional. You overthink, you delay, you keep refining, but nothing really moves. Smart people deeply understand this concept. They know they need a time constraint to get them moving. And while a lot of the time they can underestimate how much time a certain goal may take, it'll always be better than overestimating. Elon Musk once said, "Ask yourself, how do I accomplish my 10-year plan in 6 months?" You will probably fail, but you will be a lot further than the person who simply accepted that it was going to take 10 years. So do not accept things as it is. Try to always find the better way, the shortest shortcut, the hidden trick. And in the next 2 chapters, I will be talking about one of the most valuable tricks smart people commonly use. Chapter 4. Leverage. A lot of people spend 100% of their energy on everything. They think the more effort they put into things, the better the outcome. But that's the biggest lie you'll ever hear. For example, 2 students have a math test. They both booked 6 hours of their day to study, but student A decides to spend his time watching recordings of his teacher explaining the material, while student B decides to quickly scan the material, focus only on understanding core concepts, and identify the chapters that carry most of the marks, and then spend the rest of his time solving problems, especially on those parts. Now here's the interesting thing. They both spend the same amount of time, but when they both walk into the exam, student B is the one who knows exactly what to do, because when student A was giving the same amount of time and energy for all the chapters, student B studied only what mattered. And that's leveraging. It's basically asking yourself, what is the thing that takes the smallest amount of effort and gives me the biggest results? Smart people understand that not everything deserves equal effort. Their effort is asymmetrical. Some things may take 90%, some takes 40%, and some even takes less than 5% of their energy. And when things don't get done in their deadlines, they don't invest more time, which is the first thing that most people do. Instead, they fix their approach immediately. They start asking themselves, how can I do it in another way that takes the same amount of time and gives me the same level of quality? To act smart, you need to start treating time as currency. And one of the most powerful ways to do that, and what almost all smart people appreciate and do, is something called social learning and networking, which is our last chapter. Thinking smart is basically about asking smart questions. And one of the smartest questions one would ask is, what if someone else already did it? What if someone else already made every mistake I'm about to make and figured it out? Am I literally one conversation away from saving years of trying? And this is where most people get it wrong. They isolate. They go full hermit mode, thinking success is a solo journey. Figure it out alone, struggle alone, win alone. And it may work in the end, but it's going to be very slow and draining, because while they're trying to reinvent the wheel, someone else is just asking, where can I get one? Smart people don't just learn from their experiences, they learn from other people's experiences too. That's social learning. Instead of spending 2 years figuring something out, you compress it into weeks or days, or sometimes a 10-minute conversation. There's a quote by Jim Rohn that says, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And it's not just about mindset, it's about access to knowledge, access to opportunities, and access to better standards. So don't ask, how can I do this? Ask, who has already done this? That one shift alone is leverage, because now you're not starting from zero, you're starting from someone else's finish line. So how do you actually do this? First, proximity. Get around people who are already where you want to be, even if it's digitally. Join Discord servers, Reddit subs, LinkedIn groups, or follow creators who are doing what you want to do. Attend workshops, meetups, conferences, local clubs, or even just hang out where your industry gathers. Second, offer value. Networking isn't begging, it's exchanging of attention, exchanging of skills, exchanging of ideas. Meaning, don't approach people with what can I get? Approach them with what can I give? Maybe you share a useful insight. Maybe you can help them with something small, or maybe you simply bring genuine attention and respect to what they do. Value doesn't have to be big, it just have to be real. Third, ask better questions. Don't ask fake questions like, how do I succeed? Be specific in your questions. Ask something like, what was the biggest mistake you made starting out? What is one thing that you did that gave you the biggest results? How long did it take you to launch your product? That's where the shortcuts are. One good answer can save you years of trying. And one bonus thing, being smart isn't just about knowing that you don't know. It's also about knowing that you can't know everything at the same time. So always believe that the small things you do will compound over time and that you can only become better a little.